just rock for like 2 seconds. Grim on the beat. All right, everybody. Welcome back. This is 3 Beats Later, your favorite beat making, music production, podcast, and live stream. We have a very special show for you today. This is going to be a really fun time. So let me shut that down for a second. All right. So
how about those Cincinnati football Bengals?
No. None of that. None of that.
Nope, none of that.
Can't believe they won. Okay, anyway, so I got no hate for Cincinnati. I actually probably am gonna root for them. We're all Bills fans here. Well, most of us are Bills fans.
Nah, I'm about to say, yeah, shut that down.
Yeah, don't do that
right quick.
Don't do that. We're not all Bills fans.
No, not all of us.
Not unless we getting paid. Unless we getting paid bills.
Right. See,
getting bills paid.
We'll talk about who Trey roots for. But here we go. So we've been talking about sync for a while. We've been talking about how beat makers could basically find opportunities in getting their beats placed onto TV and film. And we've kind of been peppering the audience with those talking about different ways to get your music heard, and sync being one of those things. So we have an expert on today. I've been talking about it forever. The way that we kind of came about this show is I was talking to DeFingas. He got a placement on a show, and he was kind of telling me the ins and outs on how that happened. And DeFingas, do you want to tell really quick in like 30 seconds how that placement came about?
Yeah, quick 30 seconds. Just working with a music library, not unlike maybe what V3 Publishing and what we'll find out from Tre today. They had a brief for BMF 50 Cent show on Stars last season, and they were looking for some like funk music. So I submitted a bunch and landed 2. And quick story in 30 seconds. And really want to learn more about it and jump and dive in like on the sync and licensing and specifically sync licensing and trailer music. So looking forward to learn from Tre and what he does and how we can be a part.
So
a quick 5 seconds, Cheeky. I also just got a placement this week. I forgot to say.
Okay.
And shout out Liquid. We and excuse me to the audience. I'm not on video right now. I will be in a few minutes. But shout out Liquid. We've had her on the show before. Who is a huge DJ / rapper / entrepreneur and a lot of different things. And she hit me up and she was like, yo, we need we're doing music for like a horror suspense web series. And I dug deep into like, I found like an old beat that I made like 3 or 4 years ago that wasn't even like for any type of music. It just was creepy. It was a creepy piece of like almost Halloween music. I tossed it to her and she used it. And the show that it's for was a little bit more scandalous than I realized. That's the crazy thing about it. You don't even know how your music is going to be used until you see it back and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. And it was like a sex scene and then someone was trying to kill somebody. It was weird, but props to Liquid.
Congratulations,
props to Liquid. Man. And
thank
you to her and all that just for doing the placement stuff. And I know that our guest Tre is going to talk a lot more about how that whole things happen.
So that's kind of this has all been what we've been focused on. So congrats, P. And DeFingas and I and everybody in education, everybody have been looking for people who can help educate us who are on the show, all the producers here, but then all of our audience, right? So there's definitely amazing resources out there. I'm on Clubhouse. Control Camp is a room on Clubhouse that they talk about free education for music. That's how I ran into our guest. So I'm going to welcome on none other than Tre Ace of V3 Publishing. So welcome. How you doing, Tre?
Having me. Appreciate it.
And Tre is a songwriter, and he's been involved in music for quite some time. And right now he actually sits in a position that he is a music supervisor. So we thought none other than somebody who's actually sitting in the role to bring onto the show to kind of help educate the audience. So I want to start really quick. Just Tre, I read up on your bio. And learned a little bit about, your songwriting career, but then also, and some of the artists you work with, but then also about how you got your music supervisor role. So if you could just give me and give everybody kind of like a quick recap of your career in a nutshell and how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, okay. So started off as a songwriter, placements with Tamar Braxton, Eric Bellinger, Rotimi, Jacob Lattimore, just to name a few. And then from there, I transitioned and pivoted into the music supervising role. That all happened so quick. It was something that I wanted to do because I felt like I didn't know any music supervisors. I didn't know who to shop my records to. So I was like, well, I'm just going to become one. I didn't know how I was going to become one, but God had a plan and it all worked out. So I ended up, my first show was called The Covenant that I worked on. And that was on AMC. And I got that through meeting a girl, like literally I was just sitting at a restaurant and a girl and her friend was there and I just randomly bought them shots and didn't want nothing out of it, just randomly bought them shots. Next thing you know, hey, what are you doing? She said, I'm writing a script. I said, oh, I'm going to be your music supervisor. And it was just like that. And then
Wow.
5 months later, she was like, hey, I still need you to, I need you to, if you want to be a music supervisor. I was like, absolutely.
Power.
Wow.
And then from there,
Pow.
Amazing.
From there, went on Clubhouse. One of my publicists, she was like, hey, Ava speaking. She's looking for a music supervisor. She wants someone that's very inexperienced, you know what I'm saying, for this opportunity. So at the time, I only did one show. So hopped on there, and I'm not the type of person to go on Clubhouse and kind of talk and stuff like that. I am now because I see the opportunity. But at the time, I was reluctant to go on there, but I was like the last person that she talked to. And she liked my story and she was just like, hey, well, I might have something for you. She was actually looking for a composer.
Okay.
Like I might have something for you as far as music supervising. And so that's how I got the Home Sweet Home and try to make it short. But yeah, and then a couple other shows that I'm working on now with Ava as well.
So can I ask a little bit about your songwriting?
Yeah, for sure.
Too, because that's just super interesting to me. What styles of songs would you write? I mean, all kind of like in the R&B vein, or was it all over the place?
I mean, I write pop. I could write pop, R&B. Majority of my placements were R&B, just because of the producers that I work with. So it was just kind of an easier layup versus the pop.
That's amazing. And then what made you transition or want to into that supervisor role? Was it really just spurred from, trying to transition from like the artist kind of songwriter role to something that's more like on the business side, or what was the kind of like the thought there?
It was because I was writing records, and with the streaming, I mean, for a songwriter, you're not, unless you have like that number one record, the streaming is cool, but it's not what it used to be. So I was like, okay, well, I still love music. And I'm not doing it for the money, but you still have to pay bills. Exactly. So I was like, let's transition out and figure it out. So, I had a lot of records that I felt like could go. I'm listening and watching these TV shows and I'm like, man, that song is, it's okay. It's not great. It's not, it's a difference. It wasn't like an amazing song. It was just a good record.
Right.
I felt like I had a lot of good records that could go on these TV shows.
Right.
So I don't know the music supervisor. I need to become one so I can help other people out as well who's in the same position, you know what I'm saying, as me. So I wanted to be that person that was helping other people out.
Do you yourself work on like the production side in terms of like, the composition of a full song and stuff like that? Or do you focus more kind of like on like the lyrics, the song, like the words?
Yeah.
Or are you kind of like all over the place? What was that?
I'm all top line. I just do the top line. Yeah. So
awesome.
Wish I learned how to produce, and it would make my job a little bit easier.
So what we do every week, is we get together, we create new pieces of music. We kind of give ourselves a challenge, right? So it started off kind of like very heavily on like the sampling side. We would go and sample an album, and then we come back together on a Monday night and we play the tracks that we made sampling music. And then some of the challenges have kind of like gone in all different types of directions, like make a certain style of music, or, we would kind of like follow certain rules for like using certain instruments and stuff like that. But a lot of our audience they might kind of define themselves as like a beat maker, you know what I mean? Focusing on just creating an instrumental, right? Um, do you see opportunity even for someone who's like a beat maker who is making music to find those instrumentals on TV and film? Is that a lane for just like someone who considers themselves a beat maker to find opportunity through this path?
Absolutely. I mean, there's tons of opportunity for that. You know what I'm saying? Just because of it's such a big lane. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's so many TV shows that's about to come out. And music is a big portion of making that show great. The producers like the music. I mean, not the TV execs won't tell you that, or but the music does a lot for the show. Because when you get a TV show and it's just no music behind it, it's very boring to watch. As as I'm going through the process, I'm watching this, I'm like, man, this is boring. You definitely need some music. So, you know what I'm saying? When you have that higher energy, whether it's a higher energy track or whether it's a slow, you know what I'm saying, track, then I think that helps out the scene and it helps tell the story of the writers, you know, for the TV shows or the movies or whatever.
Yeah, I just Shazammed something last night. My wife was watching something and I was like, whoa, what is that? And I Shazammed some track last night. I'm like, this is how artists are getting found nowadays.
Yeah. Hey, Cheeky, can I throw a question out there?
Yeah.
Trey, I don't think you mentioned, we know because we did our homework, but for those who don't know, if you can mention where you are and like in the world, is it, you know, New York, Atlanta, LA, and how often are you traveling out from where you are to other places to do what you need to do? Or is it all working from home in the COVID world and everything? If you can explain how the pandemic is affecting traveling and working and where you are in the world.
Yeah, and even hope of like a day in the life as a music supervisor, if you could explain that.
Got you. Yeah, so I'm in Atlanta. I actually just got off the flight from LA, but I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I do all my work pretty much at home. The only time that a music supervisor would go out, let's just say if an actor or actress is singing a particular part in the TV show, like it's a song that comes with like one of their favorite songs and they're singing it, we would have to go out and be on set to make sure, you know, the lip singing or whatever is all on point and queued up together. So that's one of the times that we would have to travel. Other than that, I mean, you can do it from the beach, you know what I'm saying? Wherever you want it. You're just looking at the different scenes and placing music, you know, over those particular scenes. So.
How many tracks do you listen to in a given day or week?
Man. So I haven't like mastered my formula yet on how I do it. So I'm sure like if you ask me versus another music supervisor, they probably have their way of doing it and it's probably way more easier than mine. So I would literally go through I'll go to iTunes and let's just say like you might know like a familiar artist, right? But then they have like artists at the bottom that, you know, that's similar to that familiar artist that I've never heard of before. And I'll go through every unfamiliar artist because they have gems in there. Because I want to be the one, like how you Shazam that one song.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I want to. That's where I can add value because I want it to be that dope song to where you never heard it before, but you're like, man, who is that? So that's what I try to put in the TV shows that I work on.
And in a way, it's almost like what Ava did with you, you know, saying, I want to find someone who doesn't have experience. You're finding the hidden gems, the unknown artists and putting them in the show. Can you share like the day-to-day, like, you know, you wake up at 8, you have meetings from 9 to 3, whatever the day-to-day schedule is or the hour, you know, how that breaks down?
Really, it's so last month, like, you know, I mean, they can hit you up and say, hey, we got a spotting session at, you know, tomorrow at 2, or I mean, those are the times where you typically have the meetings. But then, you know, I can get a random text like, hey, we need you to replace, you know, a record for this scene. We think it should be, you know, XYZ. So then I go down there and do that. So it just really, you know, there's never a set schedule for music supervising. I just
Cool.
Do scenes?
Network hit up so many different libraries. Might send out a something just requested a certain particular type of song to the library. Something goes back, I'll listen to the songs that they send over and see if I can.
So that would actually help our audience too. Just kind of like the whole, I guess you could say, like ecosystem. You know, to a certain extent, music libraries exist that house artists' music that can easily license them to TV and film production companies that need music for a scene. How often do you find that you go, that's like your main channel where you're going to go to the music library, or are there opportunities to not work with a music library and work directly with an artist? Is that even a thing, or is it all kind of through those channels, through the like okayed resources, I guess you could say?
I think we don't. I mean, it's more so whatever is the easiest. Like as a music supervisor, what I know is can you create a record,
Right.
and you know what I'm saying, in the easiest way possible. So you know, if it's a dope record, normally when you're dealing with libraries, they have all that information, so you're not chasing people.
Yes.
When it comes to dealing with the artist, sometimes it's hard to find everyone that's involved in that record. You know what I'm saying? So it's easier to go through the libraries, but at the same time, I do both. Like if there's an artist or a producer, I say, hey, just send me a couple tracks and let me hear them.
Nice.
I have a quick question for you.
Go ahead.
So my question to you is this. So I know you said you like to find that diamond in the rough, so to speak. Have you found one that impressed you, or like that was just like so magnificent that you kind of got the recognition you were looking for and digging? And if so, what track or what person was it?
Yeah, so it was one. So there was a particular scene with Ava. I'm working on Cherish Today, season 2, which is on the OWN network, and there was one particular scene where never heard. I still don't know the artist's name. I just know like literally it came from a library.
Wow.
And, I mean, the song just fit the scene so well. Like it was just, it was a cool record, but it fit the scene so well. And that was, you know, so I got recognition for just having that perfect song on that perfect.
Right.
And it was only like $3,000. So
okay.
It was on discount.
Right.
That was, you know, for the producers, that's a win because
Right.
I'm about to say, you said only, like,
Yeah.
come on.
do you feel like you have an advantage over other music supervisors because you are a songwriter, so you can kind of understand what the feeling of the scene would be?
Yeah, so for me, it's all about feeling, right? So I think so, because I'm going with the feeling. Like I'm 100% going with the feeling. Like I can listen to a million records, they can be great records, but if they don't have that feeling of what I'm looking for, it's not. So
That's dope. I love that, man.
Do you have, so for one scene, can you possibly have like kind of like a hierarchy, like, okay, this is definitely going to be the track if we could get things cleared in time, but are there like backups like B plan, C plan, and how many tracks could potentially be in that list?
So the way Ava DuVernay has me doing it, I'll have like 3 per scene. So, you know, and like, okay, this is my favorite. And typically there's a high dollar one, right? There's like, to give an example, Casey and JoJo All My Life, right? It's a particular song that's in the scene. That's a $40,000 song, right? Just to clear.
Wow.
You know, if there's 10 scenes, and your budget is, let's say, 100,000, you know, you gotta kind of play with those numbers, because typically with that, you're gonna have, you know, a lot of times you have a big song at the beginning, a big song at the end, maybe a big song in the middle, and then in between that, you have to find those little gems that's $3,000, $5,000, so that way you can stay within budget. So if you're picking all like high dollar in record, you know what I'm saying, records for those scenes, like you have to have other options, because one, they might not clear, or 2, they might just say they didn't know, or you can't find all the people that's involved, or the percentages is off. A lot of times where the record could be 3-4 years old, and there might be 10% missing from somebody, or they just haven't agreed on that 10%. So you can't use that record.
Yeah.
Have other options.
That's amazing. And that's one of the things I keep hearing in the sync world, is that just the idea of like being, I guess the term is like one stop, just being able to get the paperwork done with one person, no BS, and having everything wrapped up tight is being so important, almost more important than like the right track, because of the headache that it could cause, right? How often do you run into that problem when you're trying to clear things? Is it like every day or every week there's some sort of issue or hiccup with like getting things cleared?
I have a mate. So a lot of times, like some music supervisors do their own clearance. That's a lot of work. Clearance in itself is a lot of work. I partnered with someone who just solely does clearancing. So they do an amazing job with the clearancing and stuff like that. But I always, I have to know, where we're at with it. But as far as reaching out to people, she does all that. And there's different portals and stuff you have to go through to even, like if you're working like with Warner or something, there's different portals you have to send out the documents through and everything. It's really serious.
Hey, Trey, I got a question on you. Actually, I got two questions. I'm gonna ask one now. Can you describe the difference between your role as a music supervisor and what V3 Publishing is and does? If you can explain what that is, or is it the same thing, sort of rolled into one, or two separate entities? If you can break that down.
Separate entity. So V3 Publishing is more like a company to where like I would sign artists or producers, under my umbrella, and then try to get them different syncs and placements or whatever the case may be through my network. So that's that. And then as far as the music supervising, that's just totally different.
Well, you might have 5 applications to V3 Publishing coming through tonight. The second question is, through your role, are you working mainly with like producers and singer songwriters, rappers, or are you also working with composers, or is that a whole nother side of the shows and stuff that you're working on?
Composing is a whole nother side.
Okay.
So you have a composer and then you have
for the show. Okay, got it.
It's easier for like their like TV shows or whatever movies, whatever, they're looking for composers. Those are the highly sought out composers. Music supervisors, you can always come across those, but composers, they're always looking for like super dope composers. So if you compose, there's a lot of money out there.
Noted.
All right. Well,
you already know.
The fingers does it all, by the way, side note, but yeah.
So I wanted to ask a question real quick.
Go ahead.
Actually. First, can I get a power real quick for all these gems that are dropping right now?
Power.
Going in. So thank you, Trey,
I think
so
we're all
much
caught up on the
for
power.
all this. It's interesting to me that obscurity is important to you, in the sense that I want to be the person to find a record that everyone else isn't on and introduce it through a show, which is a great opportunity for those artists. Is timing important to you? And I mean time of release. Like if a hip hop record, for instance, is like 10 years old or something like that, is that something that makes a song maybe more appealing because now it's even more obscure? Or do you like to try to focus on more recent music?
That depends on the scene and what it's asking for. Because let's just say, there's a scene where it's current, but it's back in like, it shows where they were kids back in the day, like 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Then that hip hop beat from 10 years ago will actually work for that scene. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to find the latest, R&B soul artist that's out, that's current, you know what I'm saying? You don't want an old school music soul child on this one scene. You want the more relevant, Cleo Soul or whoever.
Right. That makes perfect sense. Okay.
Power.
And that's something I talk to. I know a lot of musicians who are just amazing. Like they're top of the line musicians. And I I try to tell them to learn more about this whole world. And the one thing that they say to me is like, why would they want music that I'm creating or whatever? Or why would they want something that's like sounds like new when they could just go to a music library that has like millions of songs in it or whatever? And from what I understand, it's all about, you know, vibe and like just if you're able to create something with like the newest flavor, like people are looking for that too. But then something that P was saying too is to that point of like just having it work for the scene. And what Eric talks about on Control Camp is that his tracks that are like 20 years old, he's like, they still could find a home somewhere, you know?
Absolutely. That's why I would say, man, just like I know sometimes I used to start records and then be like, oh, this is trash. It's not going nowhere. I'm scratching it. Now I just finish, like if I'm writing it, I just finish every record because at the end of the day, you just like, yes, it might not be good for an artist, but it more than likely is good for a scene somewhere, whether that's a movie, TV show, or whatever. And as long as you're, you know what I'm saying, if you're able to find the libraries and just, you know, just keep submitting the songs, they're gonna be the ones to be like, when they get the briefs, like, hey, we're looking for XYZ, they're gonna know those type of songs, or they're gonna remember one of your songs and they're gonna put it as an option for that music supervisor. You know what I'm saying? So you just never know where that song can lead you. Like I had a song literally that was on Power that I wrote in like 2000.
Pow.
So it was like 2000. I think we wrote the song in like 2012 or 13. And it was on the Power.
Wow.
That actually leads to my next question. I'm glad you brought that up. When you are a music supervisor, but also a songwriter, is it ill-advised to submit your own music?
Trust me, I thought about it, but I mean, you can. There's ways around it, but I think it's been
Just create an alias. Put on the MF Doom mask, make it, you know what I mean, part of the brand, and then just do it that way.
Yeah, I'm gonna funnel it through my daughter's name, and then that way come back to me. But now it's a lot of music supervisors used to do that, and so they would, you know, they caught on to it. So as of recently, you know, it's a huge situation if you nah, you can't. But trust me, I thought about it.
Gotcha.
Wow. There's like, I'm just laughing like, no, it's not Tre Ace.
That's not me. It's Ace Tre.
It's Ace Tre.
It's not even spelled the same. It's two E's. It's Tre Ace.
Tre Aces. Okay. We're almost to the listening portion of the show. Who writes, my next question is, who writes the briefs? Do you sit down and kind of like craft what the scene would, what is needed for a scene? Is that like a kind of like a team effort? And what is the typical turnaround that is ideal if you are bringing a brief out there for people to kind of give you music?
Yeah. So again, that's a tough one too. So typically you'll have the certain scenes where the editors, like the editor producers, they'll kind of say such and such, you know, walking down the park, and it'll be like instrumental or they want a full song. You'll have all this information of what they want, right? And so you're able to, base off of what the scene is, after you see it, you can kind of just draw it up and say, okay, I think this will work. You know what I'm saying? It needs some up-tempo fun, you know what I'm saying? Because she's walking the park with the girls or whatever. So it's fun stuff. So you just type it out and send it off. Now, I'm not as good as making it so detailed in briefs. I can give you examples of the songs that I'm thinking about. So I'll kind of let you know, hey, fun, up-tempo, vibey, here's a few different options. This is how much the budget is, 3,000 to 5,000, whatever. More than, depending on now the time frame, that just depends on how soon the editors need it back. Typically, right, I would want it back in like 2 to 3 days. But there's one company I know that I go to. Shout out to Mad Flow. They're a dope library. So if anybody's looking to get your music up there, go out.
Shout out Mad Flow. Mad Flow.
Mad Flow. Shout out. Yeah.
I got one question for you.
What is the dominant genre of music that you see that comes through, that you see a lot of shows with, like, or that they're requesting? You know, what type of music they're requesting the most? What are the high numbers in the genre of music that you see coming through?
That's tough too, because it just depends on the show. I mean, you have, if you're looking at Ozark, they're gonna have, it's gonna be different than Power. You know what I'm saying? It's
Pow, pow.
yeah, yeah. That's a tough one, because again, it depends on the show.
And then I had another question related to the music libraries too. Oh yeah, editors. Do they have like do they help in kind of like decision making too? How important are the editors in terms of like crafting the final? I hear that like a lot of times editors get involved with like putting a song in just to kind of like have a reference point. Do those reference tracks kind of make it sometimes, or is that not what happens?
Yeah, no, I love a creative editor. Makes my job 10 times easier. Because sometimes I'm be like, you know what? I like this song. It's a great song. Let me find 2 or 3 more just like it. You know what I'm saying? That's similar to it. So it's not me just like having a blank canvas. You know what I'm saying? At least they started coloring a little bit to where I can be like, okay, well, let me finish up in that same color or whatever. So yeah, nah, a dope editor is very helpful to a music supervisor.
I got a question for you. You mentioned your daughter earlier. How important, like, how cool does your family think you are? Like, you're working on these shows, or do they have like, favorite scene? Are they trying to like get you to put them in the shows? They trying to be an actor or singer, songwriter? Like, put my song in this show. How's the family aspect?
Yeah, no, my daughter's she's about to turn 2, but
Okay.
I want her to get into all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But no, it's been cool, especially when there was a billboard up, and then it came on NBC. They'll take pictures of it and show it and send it to me.
Oh, that's
good.
So
You put in a lot of work that in this type of business, like, until you have that #1 record, or until you've seen, people don't really understand.
yeah.
Like, you're a producer or whatever. But when see all that hard work pay off, man, it's just a blessing. It feels great for sure.
I got another question for you. There has to be an artist or a name or artist where you would go back to the songwriting for. Do you have like a artist, if it's like Drake, Beyonce, they ring you up like you're going back to the songwriting maybe for that one song?
Still songwrite for sure. I'm still in the studio.
Oh, okay.
Rihanna would be that person. She sells so many records. That'll be one that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you up. I'm gonna send you something. She's in baby mode right now, so congratulations to her.
I got
Yeah.
I got another question for you real quick. Now, you said that when you were writing songs and you wanted your song shopped around, you realized you had to become the music supervisor, because you needed that. Now, my question is, now that you're a music supervisor, is there another role that you see that you want to fill after this because of a need in your own personal journey?
I wouldn't mind. Like, I just want to be helpful to other people. I know it's you know what I'm saying? My role was, everybody's road is different. And if I can make it easier for somebody to get, you know what I'm saying, to wherever they need to be, I think that'd be my blessing to the world, you know what I'm saying? Or just to be able to help other people, man. So whether it's an executive role or, just being that liaison to be able for people to get their music heard, man, that'll be that story.
Do you feel like you have a different approach to this industry? Because it sounds like you care a lot about music itself. Do you feel like you are a unicorn in that sense, where a lot of people may be doing it just robotically, where you're actually trying to help, facilitate better relationships and careers?
Yeah, I feel like I'm more so, it's more so a people person versus it is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like when you help others, man, it just gives you it just feels better. You know what I'm saying?
That would be like, I would love to just like see that look producers and artists, faces, especially independent artists, if like, you know what I mean, you're like making their whole year maybe just to kind of get that first placement,
I'm saying, yeah, I know that like that feeling, you know what I'm saying? It's keeps you going, like, you know what I'm saying? Because man, as an artist, songwriters, producers, you be like, man, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then you get that one, and you're like, all right, cool, I got one. Keep going, it keeps you going. You know what I'm saying? So as long as people
shout out Q. He has a question for you. He's our resident crypto guy. And he wanted to ask about NFT. Apparently you have an NFT line. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just the next wave. I think it's genius for artists to have a NFT platform, because I mean, you're not splitting, like, the percentages now are totally different. Like if you're going through a label, you're not seeing 70 or 80% of that money, but with the NFT, you control that. So you could say, you can see 90% of your revenue just by putting it out on that platform. Of course, you can put it out on every other thing, but it's going to change the game for sure, just because of, like I said, the percentages you created, you control it. And it becomes once you get to that next level, it becomes a higher demand where you could just sell it like, hey, I have for $1 million to one person. You know what I'm saying? Where it would have took you a million out or 20 million albums to get $1 million. So it's going to change the game.
Wow.
And kind of one last question, unless people have another one. We're about to go to the music listening section. Metadata. I keep hearing how important metadata is to put that into your tracks as you're uploading into music libraries. From your perspective, is that kind of how it works? Like, are you kind of like getting into a database, putting in keywords, you know what I mean? Like creepy music or something like that. Or is that not a part of like the whole process?
So that would be more so for the libraries. Because if I'm telling I need something fun or exciting or mid-tempo, then the library would go in and he could, she could type that in.
Okay.
Populate those type of songs. But like I said, for me personally, I'm just listening for the feel.
Right.
So.
Yeah, okay. I think that now I got to go back and check out everything that you've been music supervisor on, because I feel like it's going to make me like the shows, even if I don't like the show. Because I feel like the interest you have in music and the feeling of creating a great project, it resonates with how I pick things. Like I tell these guys all the time, like, I don't like rap. I like music that makes me feel like I can listen to their story and resonate with the vibe that they're projecting. So, I like to pick my music and my shows the same way. So I think that I'm gonna have to go, stalk your catalog, man.
Actually, I got a question to follow up on that. So you're working on all these shows. Do you as music producers, music creators, it's hard for me to watch a movie and like not dissect the music, like why they use it in the scene, like why the composer chose these instruments or whatever. So when you're watching other shows, or if you watch other shows, are you like critiquing like the placement of the music, like why did they use this song? Are you like, man, I would have did it this way, or that's perfect? And then maybe you find a song that you can use in another show. Is that how you watch shows? Because it's hard to separate it now that it's like day in and day out, that's your job.
Oh yeah, no, one show Insecure, like
of course, yeah,
their music selection on there is like super dope. And I guess because that's the type of music that I'm looking for now, because I'm working on that type of show. Yeah, I would go on there and just kind of just dissect what they're doing and figure out. I'll Shazam a song if I don't know it, find that artist and see what else they got. You know what I'm saying? Find someone similar to them. So yeah, I do that all the time. I'll see some shows where the music is absolutely terrible and be like, I don't know.
And then you make note of that person and say, I'm never gonna work with that music supervisor.
Like, hey, you need another music supervisor. Nah.
Do you ever watch a show? Do you ever watch a show and based on your experience with other music supervisors, can you tell who kind of put that lineup together?
No, because again, I'm still kind of new at this. So I don't know music supervisors. I can't. Yeah. but I'm starting to study them now and kind of
See their trends and stuff.
I can toss you some names. Also, look up. You probably are familiar with the Guild of Music Supervisors. If you're not part of that, join that. I just be watching the YouTube stuff.
You have to wait. You have to have like there's
a certain amount of like IMDb credits. Yeah.
Until the other two shows that's coming out, until they're actually dropped, then I have to wait. So once
Okay. Then you win there. Okay, that's what's up.
All right. It is that time. So we got to keep it moving.
Thanks.
So
definitely.
Just to kind of make it clear, Tre said, "Hey, if you guys are gonna make music for the show, make some soulful R&B vibes." That's what he wanted us to do. That was our challenge this week. So we got 4 tracks for you. We're gonna get through them. We normally spin a wheel to kind of show who's gonna go first because we keep it very democratic here. And the wheel was spun. Grim, how you feeling, man? You got your track ready?
Yes, sir. I was running through some technical difficulties, but I think I'm clear now.
All right. If you hit any technical difficulties during it, we'll be good. We'll go to the next track. So it's Grim, DeFingers, E, and then myself at the end. So yeah, we'll kind of just play the track, give it about like 1.5 to 2 minutes too, and then we'll just kind of comment on it. Let us know if there's something you want to show us cool about that beat that you made, but we'll keep it moving.
Power.
I'll give myself a power for that.
Can't get yourself a power.
Mute up.
Come out of the shadow.
All right, we will mute up.
Painful.
Soulful vibes. Here we go.
Let me see if we good. Okay. Guys hear that?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so I'll give you a quick breakdown. I use Drum Rack, my favorite. Shout out to Illmind Black Kits. I went into the Black Kit for the drums, and went into Just let you hear the drums. It might be that clap, a nice long clap. Also, for the main sound, I went into what is that? Contact. I printed it, but I'll play it for you. Wait a minute.
Oh, that's dope.
Played it, you know, some chords with it. Also layered the piano with it as well. But played it, you know, some jazz scale to it. And bass line I use Moto bass, which I printed and I played.
Shout out Moto.
Which is dope, super accurate. Added a bunch to it as well. I couldn't get on the guitar, so you know I try to do my best with the guitar part. I'll play that for you as well. I use actually Studio for that.
Okay.
With some layer and try to blend it together, make it sound, you know, as crisp as possible. But and that's about it. Added it on hi-hats.
Nice.
And that's pretty much it. That's the whole beat, you know. Any questions?
I'm about to start singing, Grim.
Tell Trey to pull out the pen.
Yeah, seriously.
I just got a phone call on FaceTime while this was playing. Too.
I thought that was part of the beat. I'm like, oh, shoot.
Somebody called me on FaceTime, like, what are you doing?
And the Alicia Keys.
So,
can I speak to Michael?
So, does this say soulful vibes, Trey? Is this kind of in the vein of what would possibly be seen and work with?
Absolutely, for sure. No, it's definitely a vibe. Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it. Any more questions?
That contact chord thing that's going on is fire. Keep that, whatever that is.
Yes, sir. I have 2 sessions, so I know where everything comes from. I just had to print everything. So.
All right. Good stuff, Grim.
Right.
All right. That was track number 1. We're going to DeFingers. He's going to hit us up second track.
Uh-oh.
Oh, watch out.
Come out the shadow.
Hold on, I have my mic off.
Scary.
Let me see. Share sound. This one got some vocals. I'll talk about it. But let me know if you can hear this. Check it out. Could you hear that?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Check it out. If I unwrap what I got and remove it from this box, can you promise that you won't be so careless and play from the start? Can I trust you to be someone that I can rely on? No excuse, guarantee that you do the best concerning me. And please don't let my heart fall upon the floor. Don't let it fall. It will shatter to pieces if you let it go. Don't let it go. One hand ain't enough, you gotta grab it with both. Don't let it fall apart because I'm fragile. You won't break my heart if you don't let it go. Please don't let my heart fall upon the floor. Don't let it fall. It will shatter to pieces if you let it go. Don't let it go. One hand ain't enough, you gotta grab it with both. Don't let it fall apart because I'm fragile. You won't break my heart if you don't let it go.
Let that. Can you hear me if I talk over it? this is not.
All right.
I'm not. But yeah, this is a beat I did for Isaiah Jones, who actually I met through. I think I met him through Control Camp, or maybe Hard Drive, or maybe both. I think he's part of both. And ironically, he's also working with Matt and Flo. So that's crazy that you mentioned that. So shout out to Matt and Flo and Rashad. But he hit me up on Instagram. He was like, he has a bunch of acapellas for producers. They can just grab them and make music to it. So I grabbed them. This is the first one I did from this acapella thing with the intention of pitching it to sync stuff. So been working with him on some stuff. So this is that track. Really nothing too much to it. Most of my tracks are under 20 instrument tracks. For this one, I had a drum loop from Cymatics, and then I layered it with some the pulse drums, which I've talked about before, and Hortator. I'm in Virginia, so Timbaland, Bink, Knots Raw, Pharrell, Teddy Riley, influenced by like a lot of those just drum patterns and things. So this is the sort of the drum pattern I had. Let's make this. So yeah, that's the vibes on the drums. And then I grew up playing in church for over 25 years up until the pandemic hit. So, you take the boy out to church, but you can't take the church out the boy. So all the chords and stuff, the piano, bass, all that is, basically just church progressions. And I'm using Logic, so that's a Native Instruments piano, then Logic, Alchemy Haze, like a synth pad, and Alchemy Lead. And then towards the end, again, on this orchestral / trailer music journey, I've been diving in on a lot of string stuff lately. Spitfire Audio, probably one of my favorite string companies. So I have that coming in at the end.
Love that.
That's fine.
That's tasty. Bringing the whole beat back.
I like them subtle drums under there, man.
Yeah, bro.
Sick.
Yeah, so that's the whole vibe. Been locking in on. Right now, it's hard for me to just make a straight like R&B, straight hip hop beat. It's like I gotta throw strings in there. I gotta throw brass or whatever. So, but that's the vibe.
Like the vibe, man.
Dope.
That's fire.
That's super dope.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Is that soulful vibes as well, Trey?
That gives me more closer to pop.
Oh, okay.
A river type, you know what I'm saying? Like when you was doing, like I heard those drums from, like you know what I'm saying. So when you said Timbaland influence, I heard that. So you know what I'm saying. That was giving me more leaning towards a pop vibe. Now at the end of it, where you had those strings, like if you would have, I think with just those strings and a couple of other sounds, like that'll give me more of a soulful R&B vibe, so to speak, because like it feels emotion, like I feel the emotion of those strings, you know what I'm saying? So it's super dope.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, that was crazy, and you took that straight from the acapella too, so that's extra credit there.
Like that.
All right, we're gonna keep moving. Trey, just got to check. We've got 2 tracks, and then we're done with this section. You good with that time wise?
Yep.
Okay, cool. E, hit it up.
Yes, sir. All right. Here we go. Just waiting for it to.
Clickety clack.
All right.
I'll give you one of these while we're waiting.
Come on.
There we go. Okay, cool.
You got to share too.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my share button to show up. The floaty Zoom thing isn't showing up for me. There we go. Boom.
There we go.
All right. So there we go. Mute up. You hear that? All right. Okay, here we go. stop it right there for the sake of time. But I'm actually not going to break down anything just because of the time. But I wanted to definitely get something in that soul vein and kind of give it I like the theatrical vibe of things as well. So I wanted to give it in that lane. So I'm going to stop my share right here unless there's any questions.
That's nice, man. What strings are you using there?
Yeah, I was gonna ask what strings you got.
I'm using Spitfire.
Shout
the original.
Yeah, we might have to get that sponsorship, Spitfire.
So I got the Spitfire audio, the Epic strings.
Mm-hmm.
So the Epic strings. I pretty got all of the Epic joints that they have. So this was the Epic strings, the live strings. So I went with that on there, and I wanted to give something that felt really, really good. Something, an idea came to me the other day, and I just kind of played it out, and it felt soulful to me. So I wanted to rock with that.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, what were you going for in your head? Did you have a show in mind?
Honestly, I felt like an outro to a show. I felt like the ending of a show, like somebody, just kind of made it home from something, or, that happy ending, but it's that melodramatic happy ending where it's like it's soulful, but it's also very emotional and like that kind of vibe. I made 7 tracks this week, so it was kind of a toss up for me which one I was gonna play. I'm like, I made one with vocals earlier. I put vocals on one that I did earlier this week today, and I'm like, you know what? This is more soulful. So I think that's one of the beautiful things about it is having a lot of options. You get to pick what you wanted to play. They heard a completely different track before I got on with you. So
this is nice. Your outro, melancholy outro.
Yeah.
Melancholy outro.
No, yeah, dope. It's very, I would say more R&B, like it's very R&B. I hear the soulful in it, but I more so hear it like an R&B song, like ballad.
Got you.
And I saw him move his right hand, so he was definitely writing lyrics while that was playing. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Or he's putting the X. I appreciate it, man.
All right. And I'm gonna wrap it up. Funny story about this track is the Fingers actually introduced me to Isaiah Jones as well.
Oh.
And he said, yo, Cheeky, there's acapellas over here if you're trying to make a track. So that's what I did. All right, here we go. Mute your engines. I'm about to play this. And then give me a thumbs up if you can hear the audio, okay? Because I'm playing it from this video thing.
Isolation, lovesick patient. I don't even want the cure. Hesitation, you're complacent. The vision seems to ease your soul. Scared of catching feelings, symptoms keep increasing. You contain of everything you wanna hold. You play keep away with your heart and keep me in the danger zone. You keep me quarantined. You keep me quarantined. You keep me in this bubble to keep yourself from trouble. You keep me quarantined. And I can't even love you like I want. I can't even kiss you like I want. I can't even hold you like I want until I'm free. I can't even love you like I want. 'Cause you keeping me quarantine. Isolation, lovesick patient. I don't even want the cure.
All right, I'm just gonna chop it there. So, a couple of things. First, all I want to talk about is just shout out to Isaiah. He's an amazing talent. If you don't know about him, go check him out online. Isaiah Jones. And he has a lot of stuff going on out. I had to kind of like take that acapella and work and like reverse engineer some chords that would work, and kind of built it into this, like, it's definitely in like a draft mode. But it was very challenging week because I pulled out all the guitars. Like I play guitar, I play bass. I just pulled every guitar out that I own. So I was like, I'm going to make this kind of chill, but also straightforward. Like I didn't go like super trilly on the guitar and like try to do too many fancy things. I just kind of kept it strumming and moved on. Yeah, that's the track. That's nothing else to say, but shout out Isaiah Jones. We're definitely gonna hit him up and promote his website online too.
What scene did you make that for? I got a couple in my head, but what scene did you see?
You know, it's the title is Quarantine. The words are kind of like, you know, someone in a relationship is kind of keeping you back and held away. So I could see like a dramatic love relationship happening there with that track. But yeah, that's all I had in mind.
I like it.
Yeah. So that's it. Trey, could you see that in the dramatic scene?
So yeah, I love like the instrumentation. Like I love the guitars, the everything. That was the soulful vibe for sure, 1000%. I like the song. I like the instrumentation better, just because as a music supervisor, you have to understand that when you're putting these behind the scene, like you have to take in consideration words, etc., because you don't want it to, like, if they're talking, you don't want it to clash with you know what I'm saying, with them talking. So you kind of need openness and
space.
Yeah, a little bit more space when submitting those type of songs. The instrumentation, but like I said, the instrumental, super dope.
Great, appreciate that. Well, okay, we got through the music part, and we're gonna wrap it up. So Trey, I know you got to go. From everybody here, we just gotta thank you a million times for just educating our audience around what it is to be a music supervisor, to learn a little bit about your background and your path in music. You dropped a million gems. Hang on. Couple powers for that. And just kind of, enlightened us a lot. And thanks for listening to our tracks too, and kind of giving us some insight into where you can kind of see those things falling. So any last words of advice for music producers, songwriters, beat makers trying to about sync and get into this lane?
Man, just keep making incredible music and sending it out, and find those libraries, find those people and have them shop it for you, because it's a lot of opportunity out there. So don't always think that you have to have an artist placement or anything like that, because it's a lot of different ways to make money in the music industry.
And anything that you're trying to promote that you want to tell our audience about?
Just follow me on Instagram, Tre Ace.
There we go. We could do that.
I'm sure I'll be posting a lot up there, but Tre, TRE, the number 3 ACE.
We'll put it up on the screen here too.
I was gonna say with the black Ace's page right there.
There we go. So follow Tre on Instagram. All right, Tre, appreciate it.
Great job, man.
You're always welcome to come back. If you are working on any random briefs and you want to hear the 3 beats later spin on something, just holler and you'll get 5 different producers making this track for you.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely send anytime I send a brief out, man, I'll add y'all to it. So for sure.
That. All right, man. Have a good one.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming through.
Thanks, Tre. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks. Much love.
All right. That was the episode that we've been talking about for quite some time. How did everybody feel about that? That was fun.
It was pretty good. I enjoyed the insight. He dropped a lot of information that I didn't know before, prior to getting that perspective. So
man, I mean, I've been like just consuming everything around this subject because I just see so much opportunity for us, specifically making beats for, you know what I mean? Like even instrumental, you know what I mean? Like how many beats does everybody have on their hard drive right now? You know what I mean?
Sheesh. Yeah. I need another hard drive.
At least one. At least one more, right?
Pretty much.
And it just seems like, you know what I mean, if you were able to make, you know, connections with music libraries, make connections with supervisors that are looking for something specific, and we have that to offer, you know, it gives some of what you're doing some purpose, right? Because we have a purpose every week when we're on the show. Our purpose is like, make a track sampling this, make a track sampling that. You know, what we could do easily is do a sync episode every other month or whatever, how frequent we want to do it, and just build our own libraries, because we know the TV shows that we like to watch. We know the type of music that's played on those TV shows. And a lot of that information is out there on how to tie those dots together, how to get your music into the libraries that might be a place where those TV shows will kind of like go for finding that type of music. So, I mean, you know, so much information is at our fingertips. It seems like this is what 3 Beats Later should focus on every once in a while. P, fresh off the placement over here, how does it feel?
I mean, to be honest with you, you know, speaking, being that we just spoke to, you know, such a high level placement guy, actually feels kind of small, just because I don't want to discredit the series at all. Let me not do that. But it is just a web series. It's not, you know, it's not Insecure or you know.
Don't put yourself down like that.
Anything crazy like that. But no, it's definitely dope. Yeah, no, it's dope.
But yeah, because one thing about things like that, and I was talking to another composer yesterday. I think he's like a teenager, maybe early 20s, and he's been doing a lot of just free, independent, short film stuff. And I told him, I was like, you never know, like that director this time next year might be working on a Hulu thing, a Netflix thing. You know, that web series you did might get picked up on, you know, one of these big networks, and they might want to develop it into a full-fledged film or a full-fledged TV series. So you just never know. If anything, it's at least something that you can have in your catalog for your reel, and you have that experience.
Yeah, you know, thank you for that perspective. You're absolutely right about that.
Got the live stream on the share.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out you entering the mirror universe. We're just gonna
sorry about that.
But yeah, no, you're right. Fingers, it definitely anything can launch pad into something else, and everything is a segue into more. I'll say what's interesting is that I gave her the beat, not even thinking remotely that they would choose it, but just like everything that Ace said about the feeling, the beat, the music that I submitted did have a feeling to it. It had like kind of like a horror, creepy vibe. So when it was used for like a suspenseful scene, I'm like, oh wow, it does marry the scene actually pretty well. Even though independently as a piece of music, it was kind of weird, you know, but it just fit the narrative. So I think that this is a great avenue for you guys. If you have music that just doesn't make sense like as a song, it totally can fit a film or television. Like you listen to some of the especially with horror. Horror is a great place to really experiment with different instruments and different sounds, because I watch a lot of that stuff, and they're always doing, you know, the scores are very, very, very interesting. One more thing I wanted to say is that I think the dopest composer right now is the what's his name? I forget his first name. Ludwig, yeah. Warhansen or whatever, who did the Black Panther soundtrack. He did the Mandalorian soundtrack, the Boba Fett. If you look at his, just look him up, the amount of stuff that he's done is incredible. And what's most interesting about him is not only the vast array of music that he makes. I mean, he goes from trap music to like, you know, ancient like African, you know, chanting. He uses so many different styles of music and so many different instruments, and everything he does, it fits the scene. And a lot of it, you know, and you know, I mean, would sound once again strange outside of the TV show, but when you merge it with the visuals, it's just unbelievable where, you know, this type of syncing world can go. So I just feel like as we are, gathered together every week and make all these music, we're so like, oh, sample this, make this type of song. I feel like this is an entire avenue, and I see why, Cheeky, you've been paying so much attention to it, where we could really express ourselves in a whole new way.
Let me tell you something about I think it's Ludwig Ranson and that story, because what's great about him is like he reminded me of the story that you shared about the web series. He went to school, USC, I believe, with Ryan Coogler, and he was working on student films with Ryan Coogler, and they just came up, the ranks together from Fruitvale Station to Creed to all the Marvel stuff. Now, just Ryan Coogler found his team while in school and working on the student projects, and now they're top of the chain in the film world, and Ludwig's just killing it out there. It's insane. So you just never know, like, the projects you're working on now, what they'll lead to down the road.
And I, to that point too, back to you, P. I mean, so first off, P, I got some stuff for you to listen to. I'll send it your way or whatever, that talks about how there's a lot of artists out there that don't even go this, they don't go the traditional route. They just go the sync placement route. And that is how they build their following. Because once people hear something on TV, it's like that's the door that opens them to artists nowadays. You know what I mean? We were just talking about how many times did you Shazam something? I just Shazam something yesterday on a show. But P, you have a lot of music, and that is just completed music. I don't know what the thing is on the business side in terms of like who owns the right to like all the music and like the publishing and all that shit. But you today have a catalog that should be out there being shopped like today. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how often you do that.
I think my biggest barrier is that I do use a lot of, like, honestly, samples, and I know how messy that is. But I do have a lot of records I don't have samples. There's a portion, a nice, chunky portion of my catalog that is sample free. So, there might be, time to revisit those and see if there's any, options. And I am on some of these email lists for some of these, sync placement, and they're always looking for everything. They're like, it's just a vast array of records that they're looking for. So I could probably find something that's worthy of possibly submitting. But yeah, you're right, Cheeky.
And I just see, I mean, we were talking about it a couple of times. There's a bunch of rooms in Clubhouse, and there's a lot of artists on Clubhouse who that is their strategy. They don't look at anything else. They just get a sync agent, and they have that agent shop their music, and they sit back, and all of a sudden their music has like thousands of streams. That would have taken them so much more of an investment the other way if they were kind of like, doing it like from the ground up, grassroots style or whatever. So yeah, just a lot to think about from the production standpoint, but then also from the artist standpoint too, since P, you are living in both worlds.
And just to reiterate, for those who watch this, down the road, 20 years from now, hopefully Clubhouse is still a thing. Control Camp on Clubhouse, CTRL, and then space Camp, CAMP, run by Eric Matthew. Is it Eric Campbell? Eric makes music, and his team over at Control Camp. That is probably one of the most resourceful resources about sync on Clubhouse. I think if you have a Android now, you can join Clubhouse. If you have an iOS device, join Clubhouse, look for Control Camp, and they started doing replays last fall. So you can go back and listen to almost maybe 10, 20 episodes, replay them. As I'm listening to them, I finished replaying them last week. I was writing down names, as soon as they said a supervisor name, write it down, hit them up on LinkedIn or wherever, say, hey, I just heard your name in Clubhouse, interested to whatever the context is. But there's all kinds of names being thrown out, music libraries being thrown out. So just connect with them. And, that's how I've been able to make some connections on the trailer music side, just doing some research and listening to Clubhouse and finding names. And then you have a reference like, oh, Eric mentioned your name, or this person says your name. And just wanted to reach out and, just building that relationship over time and seeing where it leads to, or at least getting some advice on the best next steps or just some advice on how you can move forward.
And hang on one second. The fingers. That was for you. All right. So we're going a little bit over time. We're going to probably wrap it in a second, but I got to say that, we have next week, we don't have a guest, and then we're going to get Mobile Music Pro on the show. And we're going to bring him on, and we're going to talk about iOS music production. The thing is, you were on his stream a while ago talking about iOS stuff. So we're going to kind of have like just a discussion. I think we're going to pick his brain and just learn all about what he's been building over there, because he has a great channel and everything. And we're going to talk about crypto too, because he's kind of like a crypto king over there. Guru, I don't know what you want me to call you, but yeah, crypto advocate. And then I think what we should do, because we have a couple ideas for challenges coming up, I think we should probably stay on the same vein of sync and pick a show maybe, and then maybe build some music around that show as if we were tasked with making some music for certain scenes. That would be a fun little challenge, because it would do two things. It would give us more music in our library. And then it would allow us to, potentially go out and shop that music around in the future, but also kind of allow us to tie the emotion against the actual scene, right? Because again, how many times did Tre talk about the vibe and the emotion? It's like, that's what he's looking for. That's his job, is to kind of match those things together.
I got one more thing about the sync stuff. I've been collecting
Pogs.
YouTube videos that of people that talk about sync, whether it's music supervisors or just companies, and I put them in a playlist on my YouTube called Sync. So if anyone's interested, just go to youtube.com/thefingers1, because someone already had the fingers, so I had to put the one after it, and look under playlist, look for Sync. I think I have like 10, maybe 15 videos on there now, but every time I come across a useful video on Sync, for example, I'm going to add this one to that playlist. I save it to the Sync playlist just for my personal reference to go back and watch later, but then also for people that are trying to dive into Sync. Whenever I come across a great video on YouTube, I just save it to that playlist.
Awesome. And I want to also make sure that we give a great shout out here to Isaiah Jones. You can check him out at isaiahjonesmusic.net. He has a lot of info over here, all the different projects that he's working on. You could hear his featured in the Fingers track that he put together, and then the track that I played. So he's doing a lot of things. Had a chance to talk to him. Really, really, really nice dude. And a lot of good music on his page. He also has a Sound Better account as well. So if you are a producer and you're trying to build a track out, you could get his vocals put on your track as well. So yeah, shout out Isaiah Jones. Check him out. Super, super dope artist here.
One more thing I want to say for this week. Big shout out to the backgrounds, right? I don't know if y'all noticed, but we big shout out to the backgrounds, right? So the Fingers has a 3 slated background. I officially have a 3 slated background. So now
I think this is the first time. Wait, actually, Grim messed up the curve, because this would have been the first episode where we all would have had.
Yes, I'm literally in the shadows with
mine. He flexing the black background, man. I swear it felt like Grim's like on a whole another planet. But no, big shout out to the Fingers. Big shout out to Q, man. Q couldn't make it tonight, had to handle some business, but big shout out to Q. Rocking with us strong, you know what I'm saying, for a while. The Fingers as well, rocking with us for a while. So always just want to just give y'all respects and y'all flowers, because y'all are such an intricate part of the show. It's pretty much every week now. It was once upon a time, it was like, nah, I can't make it on Mondays because I got this thing going on. And then it was like every Monday after that, it was like, boom, he's rocking with us. So it's like, if he's not live with us, he's in the chat with us, popping in with us. So I appreciate, you know what I'm saying, your consistency and also bringing some new flavor to the team. Everybody had their own style. So I love that you bring a different flavor. Q brings this different flavor. So I love this melting pot that we all have. So thank you.
And also shout out to P for calling Q our resident crypto guy. He didn't say, he's one of the producers on the show. He was like, and Q, who is our resident crypto guy.
Yeah,
because he asked the NFT question in the chat.
I just was laughing at that. And then the thing is, you have a suggestion for a potential guest coming up.
I do. Gabe Kunda, who he doesn't know this, but I would love to have him on the show. He does the voiceovers for basically every big movie that's come out over the last 4 years. Incredible talent. Connected with him when I found out about him in October of last year. And he's done like all the Disney stuff, the Marvel. He does voices for like Fortnite characters. Would love to have him on the show. So, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna clip this piece and I'm gonna send it to him and be like, look, here's your invite unofficially.
Is it right?
Yes, please come to the show. That's
on the
great.
on the 3 Beats
Awesome.
letter on a 3 Beats later letterhead.
Now have him do the voiceover for like the opening. Man,
Right.
his voice is crazy, man. So yeah, would love to get him on too.
That's dope, man.
All right.
This was a great week, man. Everybody's music was fire. I loved it, man, and I enjoyed, the whole vibe. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. If you have not already, subscribe, hit the bell. As you can see, every week keeps getting better and better. You don't want to miss anything because if you are a producer, you might miss some gems, and if you're not a producer and you love music, you might miss an opportunity to hear some amazing music or hear an update that's going on in the music world. So go ahead, subscribe, hit like on the video, share it with somebody that's going to share it with somebody else, and we appreciate you.
All right, everybody. Peace.
Peace.